Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is I, Abu Bara Muhammad Amriki from Black American Muslim Opinions. And today I'd like to talk about um, the making sense of all of this, why Black men are not choosing Black women to marry. Um, I wanted to talk about this for a long time, so I've got the energy today and the thoughts today to talk about it. There's a lot of conversation online from two groups of people, the manosphere and Black women, on why Black men are not choosing Black women for the primate person to marry. And this is something that is very easy for Black men to understand. Some of them who choose to marry outside of their race, but there are some women who don't understand why. Some of them might say, well, these men are not good enough, or they don't like Black women, or um, Black women, we're too strong, and this is why the Black man can't handle us. In reality, it's the opposite. Now, I could talk from some of my experience and other people experience who have married outside their race. I've been married to two people in my life who are not Black or Black American, and I had longer marriages with them. Also been married to Black women, and as a Muslim, and they don't. These marriages don't even last past 2 years. Unfortunately, some other brothers who I know have the same problem, and I do look at people's financial status and education, right? So when I look at the Black men who are married to non-Black women, their financial status, I find a lot of them do have money, are educated, some are businessmen, some are not, right? Um, and these marriages appear to be lasting longer. I even have some associates who are married to non-Black women and they're poor. I mean, they're not rich at all. They might not even be considered to be middle class, and they're married to foreigners in the Muslim community, and they have marriages that last for a long time and still married, but they have struggles, but they're still married and have children, and these women are not leaving them, right? And they have all the same traits of women when women are happy or complain or whatever, but the women seem to be more about family structure. Now, people are asking, why are Black men marrying non-Black women? And I'm going to be very blunt. Some women are not going to like what I have to say. Some African American women are going to be upset with what I'm going to say, but it's the truth. And I, Abu Bara Muhammad Amriki, have traveled a lot. And I have lived in areas where there are not a lot of Black people. I live currently in New York. So in New York, we have multicultural communities, or you have a lot of immigrant communities, whether Muslim or not Muslim. So, for example, I live right now in the all Southeast Asian community neighborhood. Southeast Asians do not like Black people, especially Bangladeshi. Not all of them. Majority of them do not like Black people. They are anti-Black culture, right? So I'm not praising none of these peoples or their women or like chasing their women. I want to make that clear. I have nothing against Black women, but we have to talk about some truths, and it's the Black woman's behavior. And when we do a comparison to Black American women compared to other women from other nationalities. Now, I live in New York, and there's definitely a lot of people from other nationalities. I also lived outside of the US for about 4 to 5 years outside of the United States. Right? I have lived outside of the United States for more than 4 years. I lived 2 years in Canada. I lived 2 years in Egypt. I spent some other time, a few months in other countries visiting. Now, first and foremost, in other cultures, Most of their women are soft and feminine. Majority of their women are soft and feminine. And in some cultures, in some societies, some nationalities, the women outnumber the men. Women outnumber the men. And then you have a dominant culture where the women are very feminine and soft. In some cultures, like in Southeast Asia, the women are very soft, very beautiful, outnumber the men, and the women are very attractive, outnumber the men, and they're very submissive, right? So the average woman you see every day on the street or you bump into, she's submissive, she's beautiful, she's easygoing, especially in Southeast Asia, like the Philippines, Indonesia, Malaysia. African women in Africa, right, are also the same way. Most countries, the average African woman, depending on what country I go to, she will be very submissive. She will be very beautiful. And all these women I just described, they're about taking care of family and family tradition, right? They're traditionists when it comes to raising family and children. And children are the center of their focus. And having children in that community, in that society, are the main focus. So when the woman, when she's looking to get married, they're expecting already to have babies. And then in the Muslim world, the women are taught from children from al-tarbiyya al-islamiyya, from the Islamic education on manners, adab, how the woman should be. The woman's taught from a young age to be a mother and mother responsibilities. She is taught this from the Islam in the home from her parents. Likewise, the males are taught to be men and fatherly, right? So the women are taught to be mothers and be married at a younger age. Then on top of that, in that society, women usually are submissive and beautiful. So I live right now in Jamaica, Queens. I live in a majority Bangladeshi community. And majority of women you see every day from them, they are very submissive women to men. They're submissive to their men. And they outnumber the men in some cases. And the majority of women that you see in the street or you bump into, they have a lot of potentials to be a wife. They're wives. Even if they're in college, even if they have a career, they are family oriented. Even when they're educated, they're family oriented, right? Most of them don't have men traits because in these cultures and society, women are taught to be feminine and soft. They're taught to be feminine and soft. You might find one or two a little bit rough. You might find one or two you might find a one or two a little bit rough, but it's not the majority of the women. Now, African American women in the US, she is the opposite. They're taught from a young age feminist ideas. You don't need a man. In these cultures I described before, they're taught to prepare for marriage and raising children, meaning that they're taught they need a man from childhood. So they most likely are better fit for marriage and are taught how to be wives from a young age. In the African American culture, the women are taught feminist ideas. You don't need a man. And you're programmed this way. Then on top of that, when you're taught not to be a man, you're taught you don't need a man, then the women start picking up manly traits. Why? Because she's out there competing with men in this society. So in this society, which is built by men, buildings, engineering, streets, communities, business districts, schools, everything in this society is built by men. It's a man's society in the US. The whole infrastructure in the US was built by men, not women. She might have worked alongside with the men, but the men build this society from the legal system, from court system, from the school system, right? So the women here are competing with men, and they are taught in the black community that women don't need men. So the woman, most likely, she will pick up men traits, and men are not attracted to women with men traits. And then the few women from the African American women that are taught to be wives, to be mothers, to get married, and to be soft, and to be feminine, this is a very small few selective. So that means when a black man goes to look in his community for a black woman who was taught from a young age to be a mother, to be a wife, which is not the norm in African American culture today. Feminist ideas is the norm, even if she have both parents in the house. It is what is taught to the women. You don't need a man. When the black man goes to look now in his own community for a wife, for a woman, she have this feminist way of her. Whether it's sexual freedom, where she slept with a lot of men, have a lot of baggage and damage and trauma because she had a lot of dealings with men from a young age, sleeping around, or she's a feminist and have feminist ideas. So his selection for a good, decent black woman is very few. And the other communities outside of the black African American community, the choices for women are still plentiful. So when he looks in the black community for a woman, it's very few that are decent or can be characterized as a decent woman for marriage. Then on top of that, that one or few decent black women who have the good traits for marriage, the black man has to compete with another black man for that woman now, because she's a hot commodity. Everybody wants to be with her, wants to get with her now. So he has to compete with another black guy who might have more money than him, who might have better looks than him. On top of that, might have more money. And then women, which men can't control, they have their own preference on who they want to marry and who they are attractive to. So on top of that, the decent woman, black woman, who have the good characteristics to marry is few. She's going to have her type of preference. And then the black men who wants to get with her because she's a rare thing must compete with each other to get her. And at the end of the day, might not still be able to get this black woman because there's other black men competing for her. The black woman that is decent. She was raised from young to be a mother. She is submissive. So the other black man has to compete with another black man for this woman. In some cases, unfortunately, the men who are competing for this decent black woman, some of the men who are decent might have to compete with the men that are not decent, who are not fit for men who are not fit for marriage. And unfortunately, some of these women also who are decent choose men who are not good for them. I've been an imam for a few years. I have seen this in the black African American Muslim community. Sister is decent and choose the worst type of brother to marry. Because she didn't got a decent father in the house to help her make the decisions, or the father is weak. So she choose men that are not good. There's few rare that is decent. So you imagine now, I'm a brother. I have my money right. I'm educated. I have my money right. I'm educated. I'm looking to marry a black woman, but I have to compete now. I got to compete with another black guy who has money, might have more money than me, might have better looks than me. Huh? And this woman knows she's a hot commodity. And then I have to compete with the hooligans, Pookie and Ray Ray, who want her too. I used to run the streets growing up in New York. I know a difference between a hoe and a woman that's decent. Dudes running the street know the difference between the hoe, the whore, the hood rat, woman who got body counts, and the decent woman. So sometimes Pookie and Ray Ray got some sense and want the decent women. And sometimes these nice sisters choose also Pookie and Ray Ray. Because they like his swag. All right? Back to the main focus. So the other women are left over for choices, which will be a lot of women in the black community. They're feminist, taught as a young age they don't need no man. Most likely that black decent guy ends up with a woman like this. Most likely. And going through marriage with a woman like this is problems. Then you end up in family court and this. You're married to this woman, and before you get divorced, the woman is competing with you. I heard a lot of brothers complain about this in the black community. I heard a lot of brothers complain about this in the black community. Black Americans, Black Caribbean. I hear a lot of brothers complaining about this, that the black woman is competing with him. So you have some brothers who are going through this, get divorced, and brothers who witness other brothers, black men, going through this with the black woman, and turn around and say, hey man, I'm Muslim. So you know, when you're Muslim, you are connected to the international Muslim community. Forget about the anti-blackness that with some of the Muslims from other countries, but the predominant culture and the Islamic culture, especially when you deal with Asian Muslims, like from Southeast Asia, and I'm not talking about no Bangladeshi because they're very racist, they're anti-black, they're not the majority of Southeast Asians. We talk about the Philippines, Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand. Them Southeast Asian women love some Negroes. I'll let you know that right now. They love Negroes, and their culture, they're very friendly. Then I go as the Muslim to Africa, right? Even though some of the Southeast Asian countries I mentioned are not Muslim, that's the Philippines. They still have a lot of Muslims there. And even the Christians in the Philippines, the women like black men, or any type of men actually, who are friendly and nice. Now, when you look at the Muslim world as the African country, Africa, the continent of Africa, and the Middle East, and the Arab countries, there are also their women are submissive and have no problem marrying people from outside their country or nationality, especially when you go to North Africa and Africa in general. Now, all Arabs are not like this. A lot of Arabs are anti-black. I gotta make that straight. A lot of brothers got played. Some brothers get played too. But when I go to North Africa, when the people start looking more like me, my complexion or darker or whatever, you'll find that the peoples, even if you're not from the same race, but if you have the same faith, they'll be open to marry you. And they'll say, man, you look like my great-grandfather or my uncle. Because unfortunately, some people think all Arabs are white, and all Arabs are not white. Some of them are black and look just like me. So they would say, hey, man, you look just like our family member, so-and-so and so-and-so. Or they have also African roots within them. So they would definitely enjoy getting with you. They have no problem about this, especially if they're in a poor situation. And you'll be a come up for them. And they'll be grateful for that. Africa, the same thing. You're going back to your roots. And the women and the people will be friendly with you. And they would say, look at you, come to Islam. and you came back home, right? They would say these type of things, right? And their women are easy going until you bring them here and mix them with the women I just described from the African American. That's another whole conversation. So the choices for the black men outside of the black race are a lot more. The choices for the black decent man in America are limited. And the limited choices of the black women that are decent from African American culture, you got to compete with another man who might look better than you, might be her from her preference. So you got to compete for this one woman. When you look outside your race, all the women in the cultures I described, all of them are submissive, all of them are beautiful, and all of them are marriage material. Not like the few in our culture here in America that is not built on family. American culture right now in the US is not built on family structure. You got African Americans, Muslim man in America. They ain't nothing about building family. They don't know nothing about keeping the family and family structure. They're about a career and chasing career and working for the white man. That's all they about. Working for the white man. Working for the white man. Breaking her neck, working for the white man while his wife stay home and take care and raise their children. Unfortunately, that's the scenario. She's making the white man who owned the company that she worked for, making him rich, while his wife could stay home and be the submissive woman and take care of their children. Our choices are few. Then we have a problem in America. Everybody, for me, every race, obesity is another issue. Obesity is an issue. Being overweight is an issue in America with men and women. So then we have on top of that, for some of the women that in our community, they're obese and they're arrogant, think they're like the best thing that walk on earth, and they're obese. They've been married 2 or 3 times, most likely not been married. And then in the Muslim community, they come to Islam or convert to Islam and they got children by Pookie and Ray Ray, every dude around the way. And they expect that somebody, she become Muslim and her virgin and her vagina is like took shahada and is a virgin now. And no, man, your vagina ain't no virgin no more. I don't care you took shahada and you have all these baggage too. Then you expect you're gonna get the life of a woman who's a virgin and you've been like 10, 20 different dudes and you got kids by different men. And you're delusional about this and think like you're some virgin and you expect somebody to come take care of your kids and your kids got a father somewhere. They don't have these type of delusions on top of that. And then from the few decent black women that do exist in our community, you're rare. You're rare. What black women need to start doing, because men, whether black or white, men is going to go where they feel they get the most out of their money is going to be spent. Men are going to go invest in women where they feel loved and appreciated. And they're going to travel. If they can't get it where they're at, they're going to travel somewhere else to get it. Men are going to do that. And within it is a venture within itself. Within it, it is a venture within itself that is exciting. Because it's going to be a learning experience. Because they're traveling or dealing with people from different nationalities. Might connect them also to money or wealth or some fame. Then on top of that, you got to compete for the decent black African American women. And then I forgot to add who as a black man in America you got to compete with from the decent black woman. You got to compete with the other black guy who has more money than you, look better than you, or it's the woman's preference, then Pookie and Ray Ray also want her, because Pookie and Ray Ray gonna stick it wherever he can stick it. That's Pookie and Ray Ray. Then you gotta compete with the non-black guy. Now you also gotta compete not just with the black guy who looks better than you, or have more money than you, or might be her preference. Then you gotta compete with Pookie and Ray Ray. Then you gotta compete with the non-black male. Some non-black men like black women. That's real. Some non-black men like black women. And I know black women in America who are married to non-black men, white, Latino. It's rare. But I'm talking about the decent black women. Look at Karen Owens. I'm not a fan of her. She's a sellout. But if you look at her, she's very attractive. Look who her husband is. She's a very educated woman, very attractive. Have some morals or preach morals. Look who she's married to. She's married to a Caucasian man, a white man who's rich. Actually, they don't show her and him together. But I look him up, man. This guy got money. This guy, he's a white guy who like chocolate women. So the decent black woman who might be educated, got the looks, very submissive, you also got to compete with the non-black guy to get her also. And black women are not, all of them are not loyal to black men. Some of them are not. So the decent black woman, you have to compete. And she's only a few compared to outside the race, from a different nationality or a different country, where the submissiveness of women and want to be mothers and be wives are plentiful. I could go outside my building right now to where all the Bangladeshi are, and every Bangladeshi woman you meet or will see in the street, if she's not married, she's about to get married. All of their women are taught from young to be mothers and wives. So if black women want to fix these issues or talk about these issues, then we have to start talking about, black women, we got a lot of problems in the black community. And I'm not talking about black men in this scenario that are no good, not really for marriage, not taught marriage. That's due to American society, because we glamorize the street life in the black culture. We magnify the criminal culture. Black men are pushed to be rappers and try to be entertainers. Black women are pushed to be feminists. Don't need no man. I'm strong by myself, or independent. And that alone is dysfunctional, because men and women were not created to be separated or to be like this. So we got all the elements that are from outside due to the system in America that's against blacks and working, and the mechanics are working for us to keep on producing more people like this, more males like this, more females like this. And none of us are sitting and having real discussions how to fix these issues, where the black male and the black female are now with each other. And for black men who are decent, who's doing the work, if he can't get it from his own women, and she's the decent black woman is rare, and he has to compete with other black men who are better than him, her preference, or Pookie and Ray Ray and the non-black guy, I'm going to get, if I go to another society or another culture and I see all the women are submissive, all of them are marriage material, and I don't have to go through the loopholes and the competition with other black men or other men in general to marry this woman, then I'm going to do that. And I'm going to get better results, because life is short. Life is short. So black men are going to take that route, whether it's with white women, whether it's with black African women, whether it's Southeast Asian. They're going to go where they feel at home, and they don't have to compete for one woman with about 20 guys. And then sometimes even when you're competing for this woman, when I'm competing now for this woman and I'm the preference that she wants, and I get this woman, I had to spend all this money and all this time until this one woman, she's on top of that delusional. African American women in general are delusional, not all of them. The African American women, some of them, they're delusional. Even the ones who are good for marriage, some of them also delusional. Western culture, American culture has spoiled them. So the man has to spend a lot and get only a little bit back. Where in the outside the black culture and another culture in another society outside the black African American culture in Africa, in the Middle East or Southeast Asia, I could spend a little and get a lot plus more from the women. Just from being a man. And just by having the responsibilities of the husband able to take care of the women, I get a lot of extra things with that. I get a submissive wife. I get a submissive family. I get a loving family. Huh? I get like, I know black brothers who was married to black women and they left them with their kids. And the brothers marry a woman from outside their race, from the Muslim world, and their women take care of their children and their babies from this mother who left them. I know African American brothers right now who mothers left them, and their father married women from outside their race, from the Muslim world, and these women came in and took care of all their kids, plus their father cooked, clean, everything. And have more children with the woman. Sometimes there's a downside to some of that. I'll talk about that in another video. But the outcomes is better because you're married longer, have more children, and it's good when children grow up and see both parents in the house. Where in the African American culture, if you're a decent guy and you got to deal with one of these sisters who are not taught to take care of family or raise her family and be a good wife, a submissive wife, then as soon as you're with her, you have baby, you have divorce. And the children grow up not seeing both parents together. How to be a functional person in life, you need to grow up to have both parents in the household. See, we don't talk about the psychology behind of children and the development of children and the benefits of children growing up, seeing both parents in the house, and good relationships will formate for that child the template for him being a successful adult. We don't talk about that stuff because, see, in American culture, African American culture, we all following our shahawat. The woman following her shahawat, her desires, and the men is following their shahawat, their desires. And we don't think, and we have this selfish culture in America, this individual culture in America that black peoples are practicing, Eurocentric individualism, and not thinking about family structure. So the child grows up and the parents are divorced before the child reach past grade school or divorce. And he see his mother, unfortunately in this country, women are going to get the rights of the children, see her mother with all these different dysfunctional relationships. Make the child dysfunctional. And anything about children or parenting or raising children or making children successful for life or preparing them to be successful is by picking the correct mate, picking the correct spouse. Before you decide to have the child, is having the right spouse. And if you know the woman is dysfunctional and you get in a relationship with her, most likely your children are going to grow up in a dysfunctional manner, because you're not going to be with that woman for a long time, even if you break your neck. See, we don't look into the future about our choices we even make for the spouse. And that's why most of the men who are smart, they learn their lesson. They go choose the submissive woman. If she's not from our culture, go outside the culture. I go to Africa and get married and find the submissive woman. I go to Southeast Asia and find the submissive woman. Some black men are going to the white community. Me personally, I'm not going to go to the white community to find a wife because the anti-blackness. I don't want my kids to grow up in a house full of hate. So the parents or grandparents or family members are going to hate them because they black or something. Look at them. I'm not going to put my children into that. I'm not going to do that. Especially with the hate with whites in America, I'm not going to do that. You know, if the white person has somebody black in their family or they biracial, I would do that. But if they're not biracial and no one black in their family, I'm not going to do it because I won't put my children through that. Because I know a lot of white Muslim sisters who got black kids, and they told me they got a lot of problems with the family members about the anti-blackness and that stuff they are perpetrating or that stuff coming off towards their children. I know white Caucasian sisters are going to keep their black biracial kids away from their racist family members. I'm not going to personally do that. I'm not going to make them choices. I'm not going to get with no woman like that. Or any nationality where the people are anti-black, I'm not going to have no children with those women, even if they submissive and look nice, because your kids are going to go through some stuff. They're going to get traumatized. I'm not going to put my kids through that stuff. Me personally, I wouldn't do that. And for black women who I'm talking about, why black men are not marrying black women, you got to look at yourself and ask yourself why you can't get married and keep a man. You got to ask yourself these questions. And if you're not able to formulate an answer, an honest answer, to look at your own faults and own mistakes, because black men have faults and mistakes. I ain't saying black men are perfect. No one's perfect. But if you have all these faults and you're overlooking your faults and mistakes and think people are going to accept you for this, if you go to your job and you have faults and mistakes, you get fired. If you go to your job and you have faults and mistake and late and don't do work, you get fired. How you expect that you get with a man, you got all these faults and mistake and don't want to correct it, that he's going to choose you? If you have that same trait with your job, that's how you women are going to start looking. Marriage is the job for you women. If you have these bad traits at your job, you get fired. Of course, your boss don't care you a woman. Your boss don't care if you black or white. You have these bad traits in the job, you're going to get fired. So if you got these bad traits, a man ain't going to want to get with you. So you better fix your problems. If you have a problem in your job, then you fix them, right? If you looking for a certain type of career, you go fix a path for you to get that career. Whether it's going to school and getting a certain type of degree, you do what you got to do, right? To get that type of career or get that type of position, you better do the same thing. If you want a black man to marry you, better do the things that you need to do so you can have a marriage that's going to be successful. Men are not looking for mannish women. Ain't no man want to marry unless he's gay. There's some gay guys out there who are bisexual. They would get with you. They would get with you, but on the side, men be banging them and they be banging men. But they would get with you. That's the only man looking for a managed woman. Maybe some guy is gay and a homosexual. Maybe he'll get with you. I don't even think they want you, actually, them biracial guys. I don't even think them gay biracial guys want you. But I don't see how a man in common sense, a decent black guy, don't want no woman like this because you're a headache. Black people, we got an issue with our health issues. We got mental health issues in our community. So imagine I got a stressful woman, a woman who got problems, and I have hypertension, or I'm diabetic. That stress will put a strain on the mental health and the physical health. If I'm diabetic and you screaming and yelling all the time, I might die from heart disease. If I have hypertension and you're yelling and screaming and shouting, don't listen, you might cause me to have a heart attack. The man gonna go where he's gonna find peace in mind. Not toxic women. And we ain't gonna stay in your relationships with you? Especially when you're delusional in this country. I'm about to end this video. So when you look at why certain black men will go outside their race, Man, you gotta look at the black community and the women in the community. This society from the black community, we chose, some of us, not all of us, some of us chose this filthy, delusional American culture, trash, garbage, housewives, BS, and this hip hop garbage trash, bastardized culture of hooligans and criminals and whores and whoremongers. We even got some brothers and sisters. I see some sisters on Facebook, and they told hijab covered up playing this whore culture music, whorish music. And I look at you, sisters, how you covered up and you playing these songs, women singing about whores of being a whore and whore culture. Man, it's dysfunctional here, man, in this country, and thinking the people, and especially the women. And the brothers too, listen to some of this music. I be seeing you have beard, lihya, and you be having music, rapper, and they talking about crime and killing other black people. And I'm like, yo, where's Islam and music don't go together? The message of Islam and the music you playing and stuff don't go together. Then we wonder why we have dysfunctional families and children. How you a sister covered up in the hijab and you playing some music, the woman's singing some whore stuff, being a whore. The first thing I look at is that's why you're single. And you wonder why you're trying to get married, can't find a husband. And you're on Facebook, all covered up, playing whore music. And you wonder why you can't get a decent husband. You keep on getting these no good guys who got issues. Well, you on Facebook playing whore music with the hijab on yourself and your storyline. That's why you keep on getting the screwed up guys, because you're screwed up. I'm out.